Hello everybody and welcome to our Thursday show, Andrew Bartzis' new teachings, Polycrisis number 2. So I'd like to introduce my co-host today. Of course we have the Galactic Historian, Andrew Bartzis, Dale from Symmetry Health.
Hello there everyone watching Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. Hello this evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hi guys.
It's the banter that goes on in the background makes me laugh so much. And we have Laura from Two Feathers of Medicine.
Hi everybody, great to be here again. Just wondering what else Andrew has got for us this week.
We are going to rate who does the best opening of the show. It was Maty's turn this week. At every show, it will be a round robin of who's going to do the intro. So people that are in the chat room, go on and give Maty some feedback on his opening. And next week, it'll be Dale's opening.
Woohoo!
They'll be prepared.
Yes, I'll have a script.
I'm going to have a moment here to talk about some of the banter. Early this morning, Dale sent a picture to our WhatsApp group of a tower that looked a stone tower that looked very phallic, and the banter that occurred from that. Oh boy, it's not fit for YouTube ears.
But apparently fit for mine.
Oh boy, yeah.
Unloaded a lot of banter, didn't we?
Yes, that was like a 25-minute texting session nonstop.
Then for some reason it got into time questions. That I had to stop and really focus for a while.
Yes, you guys changed what this Saturday? Your time changes?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
No.
Sunday morning.
Dale knows.
I've started learning my mastership at Time, guys. So I'm doing YouTube University, Google University at the moment, just trying to get it all on lockdown.
Dale, I do hate to correct you, but it's not this weekend, it's the weekend after. It's the last weekend in March.
God damn it.
Shit, yeah, isn't it? Anyways, moving on.
You are no longer master of time.
No, exactly. I'm
definitely not. With that said, we are going to jump into the Polycrisis, Part 2. We have a poll up there in the chat room for everybody to go and take part of the poll. If you are one of those people that wants to partake in the no need to be psychic view of the future, as well as you could be psychic, and what we want to talk about is the current Polycrisis, what's going on with the bank crisis. It was just last week that we called a bank crisis, as well as many other things on that show that are just happy to come true a week later. And as we said on the show, you don't need to be psychic, but sometimes it helps. Okay? So today we're going to look into the Silicon Valley bank crisis, how it affects consciousness of the world, what they're trying to manipulate us with, why they're trying to manipulate, and why they're putting bank-run fears while they're bailing out the banksters. Okay? Laura, what have you heard about the Silicon Valley bank crisis? You know, the three of you are in Europe. What have you heard? What has gone through your grapevine over there?
Yeah, it has come through on most of the main news, but not as the main story. And the underlying narrative is still that the economy's sound, because at the same time, we've had a budget going on over here, and the fact that interest rates inflation will drop and everything does look rosy for the future, and not really taking into account the fallout that this really huge, it's a tech company bank, isn't it?
Yes. Well, right now they're doing the whole Jedi mind trick. This is not the banking crisis you're looking for. They're trying to wipe everybody's mind that in reality, in the next 30 to 60 days, the truth of what actually happened there is going to come out. Because even though they made the banks whole, the depositors whole, and there was like $9 trillion worth of exposure from those three banks, okay? Here we have what's called FDIC insurance. So any bank account that has $250,000 every bank account has $250,000 insurance. So if the bank goes under, you're guaranteed $250,000. Anything over that, they don't. 99% of all the accounts there were over $250,000. Yet they all got bailed out. Same thing with Signature Bank and Republic Bank and a whole bunch of other banks that are associated. Silvergate, which is a crypto mining bank, etc. What this means is many, many, many venture capitalist people who were stockholders in these banks got wiped out.
And I noticed Biden's still saying we have a
Nothing
sound.
happened. Yeah, it's perfect.
We have a sound economy. Like,
now, in all reality, he has to say that. This is one of the few times I'll defend the senile old man, but he has to say that. You got to, as the leader of the country, say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but we all know the truth. Okay, we all know the truth that no matter what the Fed does, bad times are coming for everyone, and the Fed and the World Bank is not smart enough to fix it because they engineered it. Okay? You don't have a fix for something you engineered. You have the next set of actions and the next set of actions. Some of the things that are coming out here, and this is not conspiracy, this is on major news talking about it, that there was a call between all the major venture capitalists that had major money inside Silicon Valley Bank 24 hours before the bank went under, where they all pulled their money out at exactly the same time, this was an intentional bank run. And this was intentionally done to force the Fed and the federal government to bail everybody out, to stop a financial crisis, and to rub shit in the faces of the governments that have been trying to fix everything through the inflationary process of raising rates. And it is a way to force the Fed and the government to keep quantitative easing around permanently. Now, they know that this happened. They know that the call happened. They know that everybody pulled the money out on time. But will these banksters actually get prosecuted? The answer is no. There's no government in existence right now that has the willpower to do it, take any of these bankers down. None of them. And that's just the truth we live in now. And that's part of the Polycrisis, where it enhances when you start to learn stuff about the underhanded thingings that are going on. Now, Silverbank, by many economists, has been called a living, breathing criminal organization that owns a bank. Okay? A criminal organization owning a bank. That's how it was run, as a criminal organization. Massive money laundering, supporting the cryptocurrency boys that all went under over the last six to 10 months. Okay? While this banking crisis is going on, they're still feeding you stuff from the Western European country we cannot name. Okay? Have you guys heard about the attempted drone strike over there?
Yeah. Yes.
What is your news telling you?
That America accused Russia of taking the drone out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the same
news
news
here. And the
here.
Russian pilots said they were nowhere near it when it went down.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
So the Guardian says UK refuses to say if it's investigated reports of serious drone strike casualties. So they're like kind of holding back on a lot of information, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Well, just so you know, that drone was called a Reaper drone. And if any of you have ever studied anything about military drones over the last 10 years of their development, there's two kinds of drone. One's called a Predator drone. Sorry, there's three drones: Predator, Global Hawk, and Reaper. The Reaper is the newest evolution of drones, and it is a suicide drone. It is not a surveillance drone. It is armed to the teeth with 2,000 pounds of high explosive in it, and a big metal tip in the front of it, in front of its fuselage, that it's meant to be like a bunker buster. That Reaper drone, as I said, was a suicide drone, and it was an attempt to kill all the new Russian generals that were on the other side of that border. Okay? And there was a second drone next to it called a Predator drone, which is a high-level surveillance drone, but it also has a very high-powered communication symbol that cannot be jammed and cannot be hacked. And they were going to use that communication relay to send the Reaper drone in and act as a suicide explosion bot, taking off the head of all the Russian military. This is the story that's starting to emerge, and yet the modern news isn't going to tell you anything about this. And watch YouTube. Shut me down. Whoa.
That's what I was thinking, Andrew. I was just seeing it now, like, cha-ching, get ready, motherfuckers.
I'm not the only one saying this, all right? A large variety of various military presenters go, there's no reason for a Reaper drone to be next to a Predator drone unless they were doing an assassination drill.
So what's the significance of keep saying the transponders were off? What does that...
That means they're untrackable.
Okay.
That they don't give off a beacon saying who I am, what I am, where I am. That's what a transponder does. Who I am, where I am, what speed I'm going, what direction I'm heading, what trim I have. It's data that the flight operations all put into one little code. And then sometimes they'll operate with 4 or 5 different transponder signals, so you can't tell the difference of what it is. Or they'll scramble the entire transponder frequency, meaning no transponder codes are coming through at all.
So how is the
they blew up Nord Stream. Watch YouTube shut me down for that. It's unequivocally United States blew up Nord Stream.
No holds barred.
Okay, and now they were trying to decapitate the Russian command. Okay, what's that for the Polycrisis? Imagine if that happened. What would have happened the next day?
war?
No, really think about it. Don't just say war. British accent.
Someone would have got annoyed. Someone would have got very angry. Someone would have spilled their tea.
But wouldn't that have triggered that? A reaction from the Russians?
Think deep.
Assassination.
Russians could never admit all of their generals got assassinated by a Reaper drone. They could never admit that. Okay? How do you respond in the Polycrisis world?
Financially?
Yes.
Oil?
Financially.
Because all of this really is just about the dollar, isn't it? It all comes down to business and the dollar.
All about the petrodollar
Yep.
and the military-industrial complex dollars that they want to earn.
And all this safe, like even the drone, how much is a drone cost? How much do you think that would have cost?
A Predator drone, which is the communication surveillance drone, is about 40 million, 30 million each.
Wow.
And the Reaper drone is about 17 to 18 million each. And the Global Hawk is about 90 to 100 million each. Global Hawk flies almost to the outer atmosphere. Polycrisis. Think about it. We did a prediction show last week. What would have happened if they took out all the generals? Maty, I'm going to put the pressure on you. Think in Polycrisis terms. We can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was muted. Well, like I say, it'll probably be a financial response. So I imagine something happening with oil, or a big bold move, maybe something they've been planning for a while, something they've had on the burner, something that will, because they've got to know that the US economy is the way it is as well. I mean, that seems like the obvious way to really hit America to me.
Yeah, but anything they do to the American economy affects their economy too.
Right.
So it has to be something unique. Okay? Dale, I'm going to put the pressure on you now.
So, reiterate the question again, Andrew.
If they had taken out all the Russian generals, and the Russians could never admit they took out all the generals, what would their response be?
I'd say a diversion. Something to divert what happened.
Well, that's the cover-up part, yes.
Yep, the cover-up part, and
what's the one
assassination?
Thing
I don't honestly know.
What's the one non-violent thing? Well, no, one thing that'll get every American's bug up their ass. Come on, Brits, think. I'm going to put the question out.
And anybody in the audience as well in the chat, let's hit.
You don't need to be psychic to follow the chain of logic of how Russia
I was thinking, well, obviously they're going to need to recruit new generals, or they're going to need to bring in other states or something like that. But that doesn't really fit in with America.
The Russians have already lost like 18 generals to assassination.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't have very many more. Okay. So, chat room, you don't need to be psychic to do this. Go on into that chat room, type something out. even if it is as lame as what everyone else has come up with.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay? Challenge yourself. You guys don't really pay attention to the global news.
Would they say it's, I don't know, would they blame ISIS or blame some organization?
Oh, come on. Do you remember BRICS? Brazil, India, China,
Yeah.
okay, Russia.
Russia,
They would have made BRICS work. Right now, Xi Jinping, the president of China, who just secured his Chinese presidency for the next 10 years, is visiting Russia. The same time Assad is visiting Russia. The same time Israel has just signed a nuclear treaty with Saudi Arabia and Iran. Israel has signed a deal to allow nuclear power in Saudi Arabia and Iran. Think about what's going on here. They would have formalized BRICS, and they would have taken all of the American power out of the Middle East. That's what they're going to do. That's actually what's happening now. But they would have accelerated BRICS. Instead of it taking another year and a half, it would be done by the end of this year. And they would rub everybody's noses in it, because they then will no longer be pegged to anything with American inflationary rates. And American junk bonds would go garbage level. Top level American bonds would go garbage level. And the Fed here and the World Bank doesn't have a plan to do that, because they never thought Russia would do anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 4D chess you got to perceive and receive and understand here. Taking away the petrodollar. Okay? Now let's go into the other forms of polycrises that are going right now. We have 633 inches of snow have fell in the Rocky Mountains, the most in any recent history. Okay? Can you imagine how much 633 inches is? 12 inches to a foot? Do the math.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of snow. Now an atmospheric river is coming in, and they're expecting another 4 to 10 inches of rain. Now, for every 10 inches of snow is equivalent to 1 inch of rain. So 633 inches, that means 63 inches of rain, and add another potentially 10 inches, 73 inches of rain. Remember how all those reservoirs were empty? They're all full now, and they're opening their spillways because they're expecting the flooding to be so bad that many of these things may not survive. So now they're setting you up for an infrastructure crisis all throughout the West Coast.
And then that looks also into a supply crisis, because it's the infrastructure that gets hit.
It's the infrastructure. That's where you get all your grapes. That's where you get all your tomatoes, all your celery, all your lettuce, soybean, all the other stuff that's produced in California. California itself is the 5th largest economy in the world, just that one state. So what happens if the 5th largest economy in the world comes to a halt? Shit happens, doesn't it?
Problems for everybody.
Problems for everybody. Okay?
So what will the global narrative try to cover up about the drone, and what are the agendaed bits they want you to remember? What's the propaganda they're going to get out?
It's Russia's fault. Russia shot it down for no reason, an unmanned drone. That's all they want you to know. And anybody that has any form of military has paid attention to the drone strikes that they've done in the last 20 years and realize there's enough YouTube videos out there. Anybody can go and figure this stuff out. Okay?
So that
or go to janesmilitарyequipment.com, and they give you a regular update of all the existing military equipment in the world.
So it just reseeds all the Fear Russia propaganda.
Yes. But last show we said we need a new villain.
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Is there a potential for a new villain here? The answer is yes. They're setting it up to be Xi Jinping, the Chinese president. They're setting it up for him.
We also said we needed a hero.
Sure. Who's the hero?
Joe Biden.
Falling down the stairs, Biden. I'm here,
Lord,
guys.
Don't worry, everybody. America's got this.
The Lord of Senility. Okay, who's the heroes in this? Okay, there are heroes in this. It's the independent media reporting the truths that are coming out right now, because no one's watching the mainstream news. Their ratings have tanked in the last 2 years. Okay, Joe Rogan, who's like the 20th largest podcaster in the world, or 33rd, or something like that. He gets more people watching one podcast than all of the major news channels in that is signed.
It'd be interesting to know how many, newspapers, because when I grew up, there was always my dad reading the big paper, the Telegraph or the Express, and there was obviously all the headlines and all the stories and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see the data now for people who buy newspapers, because I never could see that, except the older generation. You still see a few of them with the paper, but I'd love to see the numbers, how they've changed from the newspapers, how they're sold, etc.
You can look it up. No one orders newspapers anymore. Okay, no one. It's down to, like, if you were to look at it 30 years ago when newspapers still had a potential of existing before the internet, and compared to today, there were 2,200 major newspapers worldwide, and now we're less than 150.
Yeah,
that's how many have gone out of business. Okay, like the New York Times used to tout 9 million papers sold every day. They barely get 500,000 sold a day now.
Yeah, I bet.
That's the level of reduction.
But they must have transferred now over to digital format, so they must be.
They have, but nobody goes to their website.
No.
You look at the data tracking on their website, hardly anybody does it, because the people that read the news are the senior citizens, the senior groups.
Yeah.
The new age and the millennials and Gen Xers don't give a shit about digital news. They don't read those documents.
No.
No, because the Guardian over here on the internet is always asking for support, for donation.
Subscriptions.
Yeah.
So we do have a newspaper which is printed and put onto the train stations, the metro. So a lot of people still do it that way. They'll come, but it's nothing at all like it, like the big papers that the way it used to be. Everybody would grab a newspaper on their way to work.
Yeah, they all be sat on the train, wouldn't they, with their big papers? Now they're on the
factories.
Legs crossed.
Factories would have their different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Out here in the States, people used to go read it in the toilet, because you could read the whole newspaper in the toilet in one sitting.
In the toilet for about 40 minutes. You're like, oh, come on, man. It's like you can hear him flicking pages.
They don't do page 3 anymore, do they, Dale, as well?
No, that was the Sun.
People would kick off about that nowadays, wouldn't they?
Oh God, yeah. So basically, so in England, as a lot of people listening will know, there was a newspaper called the Sun. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of it. They've been in so many scandals, and the Star, and they had a page 3. And the page 3, basically, I remember as a kid, my dad always used to get it, and he always used to go to page 3, and there's a lady, obviously, with her breasts out, and in some position. It was like everyone bought it, page 3 of the Sun. And like the Daily Sport, where they'd have 30 pages of half naked women, and there'd be like 5 pages of sport, and they'd call it Daily Sport.
To put that into perspective, some of the main newspapers that most of the working classes read, as soon as you open up the paper, there's a pair of tits right in front of your face. That's basically what it meant. It was so funny. Like,
they have to get you try and buy it somehow, don't they?
Looks like I'm having some audio issues. Let me turn off my video. All right. See, does that clear it up?
No,
it didn't clear it up. Well,
Oh, yes.
Oh, it has now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it has now.
Yeah.
Well then, I shall just have to go without
so
video.
we got back onto body parts again.
Yes. All right. Now that we've set up the current polycrisis, what's going on, let's look at the subtleties of what's going on in Britain alone right now. Okay? It's not about what's going on in the news, what's been going on for a while that they keep around, like zombie news that keeps coming back in Britain.
Immigration.
Boat
people.
The one word which just grinds me all the time is when they still talk about Brexit. It still comes up every news, and I'm like, oh, again, how many years do you still go on about Brexit? Still talking about it.
Why do you think they keep bringing up immigration and Brexit?
Well, immigration puts people in fear about the country being overloaded with migrants.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But that
taken a whole
doesn't
different
actually
level to
happen.
that, though, because
No.
it's taken a whole different level, because what's actually happening now is all of the people that are coming over are what you call like fighting age men, but that just means there's no women, and not that many women and children, just young men, and there's been a lot of, because these people are coming from countries where certain things over here that are considered serious crimes go on quite a lot, and they're virtually never, or maybe occasionally punished, who knows, but so they've been taking people out of hotels, and then giving like these plush hotels to these immigrants, and then some of these immigrants have been reportedly disrespecting these places or making complaints, and there's been a lot of inappropriate behaviour towards young women within the communities where they're coming into. So people have started to actually gather outside of these places and start to shout, and in Liverpool they set a police van on fire, and it's all over TikTok and things like that. So that's the kind of way it's going.
Also, it's about almost making it sound like we are going to have to compete for resources with the immigrants if we don't get it under control.
Yes.
And therefore it then comes back on a shortage, you're in competition, and everything like that. And they're quoting just ridiculous numbers which aren't even true. They're misquoting. And keeping everybody in an adrenaline-based sort of fear that there won't be enough of everything, because that's what they do that already with the sort of supply of doctors, the infrastructure as well. So they'll be saying that if these people come in, all our infrastructure will be overloaded.
Sorry, Dale, you go ahead.
We've got a as well, which I've just reminded, the kids have been off the last few days. Currently in England now, there's a huge strike going on. So currently the kids are at school like every few weeks, and they'll have 2 or 3 days off for the teachers striking. So the primary schools, secondary schools are on strike for better pay and loads of different things as well. And also the NHS workers. So there's always news articles saying about the shortage. The NHS are under pressure. They don't know what they're going to do with all these nurses striking and stuff like that. So there's just always that squeeze and kind of like shortage feeling going on, and we don't know what the future's going to be like. It's going to be scary. All of that they're trying to push onto us.
And then
and it
on
is
top of that,
Instead of just paying the nurses what they're worth, and keeping an artificial shortage of nurses going, they keep you stuck in this story that never ends. Laura, you hit the nail right on the head with the immigration part. They want you to. They want these zombie stories to keep me back, to keep you in the adrenaline state.
And it is like the starting wage for a teacher who goes through 5 years of university is like 27 grand. And the starting wage for a nurse is about 24, 25, and they're working like 6 days a week. And it's disgusting, really, what they pay nurses and teachers, and that kind of it's awful.
The starting wage for nurses is over here around 35. Some nurses get paid less, but it all depends on your education level. But you also, when they come out of university, what is their debt level?
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
Oh,
Here,
God,
when they come
yeah.
out of university, they have $150,000 to $300,000 in debt. Okay.
We have that with the student loans. So it's the
There's
same
nowhere near
principle,
that.
isn't it? So that they'll spend the rest of their life trying to pay off a student loan
Well, we would
to get
that's
a degree for when they can't get a job when they get out, because
That's
degrees
it.
don't seem to mean the same thing that they used to.
well,
They
we were going to
devalued
look
it.
in. Yeah, greatly put, Laura. We were going to look into moving to Scotland because they don't have tuition fees there. So you go in Scotland, live there for 3 years, and you don't have to pay for university. That's the only country in the whole of Britain what do it, and I think that's incredible, really. And we should follow suit.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because also, if you speak to many students, a lot of them haven't even paid back their loans, and there's not this real violent pressure to make you do it either, is there? There's a lot of people that don't. You pay a little bit here or a little bit there, or they might catch up with you, they might not. It's certainly not a well-oiled structure, that's for sure. Not a working machine.
Well, look at the conditions they create. So junior doctors, I think, were on strike this week as well. So
trains.
They work horrendous hours, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Same here. Now, because this is generally a spirituality-based show, why are we talking polycrisis? It's because it affects spirit. It creates depression. It creates obsession. It creates all sorts of negative things that happen in the background that get in the way of people's lives. Now, there are many, many techniques and many shows that we've done previously that you guys can go back and look at that can help you get through the polycrisis. In my view, if you're going to begin any type of practice to help negate what's going on here, it's sun gazing. Getting out and getting the sun on your face, getting your bare feet on the ground. Now, I don't want to turn this into a spirituality talk, but let's just talk about some of the things that you can do to help break the adrenaline of the negative news, how to stop looking at it. So, Dale, over the years of you ignoring the news and becoming spiritual, what were some of the things that worked for you?
Having a practice where I'm having dedication to time out during the day, of having a nice feeling of relaxation, going into a nice space of healing, going into a de-stressing. And I think it all boils down to de-stressing, finding ways to de-stress yourself. And that's what the daily practice is. It's about being able to de-stress from the past. And like, we all have those incidents during the day where we do get angry, we do deal with shit. Some things don't go right for us. So for me, it was all about having that time each day, 6 days a week, to do that work, relaxing and grounding. I think grounding has to be one of the most important things, and it's something I'm working more and more on as I grow older, is really focusing on where the feet are at, where the body's at, going out for a walk and really feeling the earth and actually accepting the earth energy as well, and not trying to be focused all out there but below. So I'd say going to the inner work, Andrew, and that self-healing process has really helped me detach from it. And I'm at the point now where before it was hard for me to detach from the kids, but now it's kind of like I can turn off those power plugs and just come into my room, this room I'm in now where I do my inner work just there, and I can just turn off straight away now. Before I couldn't turn off, and it's taken me a while to be able to do that. And I'm guessing for people watching television, just at times turn it off for a few days, turn it off for a few weeks, and really go into yourself and start listening out there instead of listening to that fake narrative.
Laura, what about you? What techniques have helped you?
Learning sacred neutrality, not getting drawn into polarity, and all the self-mastery teachings we've learnt through you. So, excuse me, taking like an eagle eye view of everything that's going on rather than get drawn in. And then, as Dale was saying, it's about the daily practice, and you were saying get out in nature, just to get away from it. You know it's there, but I think I was saying in the show last week, you can outcreate the adrenaline drive it keeps giving you by getting into natural, co-creating with the universe some natural memories, so that what's in your system isn't all chemical adrenaline based. So I mean, that just the daily practice of prayer, for example, having a fire, going to look at the stars. One of my favourite ones is being out in the sun and getting the sun on your face, and doing exercises where you're bringing the sun down your spine and so on. There's so many practices, and without going too spiritual, you can be neutral, try and be neutral without too much judgment and polarity, even if you're not very spiritual and you don't do a lot of practices. Just taking a step back from it all. And the other thing is, one of your great phrases, if you are paying attention to all this and you're adrenaline driven, how is that working for you?
Love it. How is that working?
On the way.
Yep. Okay, Maty, what about you? What's the tools, tips, and suggestions you have for people to disconnect?
Okay, so I would reiterate exactly what these guys have said. I was going to say prayer specifically because, but it comes down to daily practice. When you have a daily practice and you learn prayer, there's a process where you step into a form of authenticity. And when you get into that authenticity, and it doesn't feel like you're being ungenuine. This is for people who haven't got a regular prayer process. It creates a feeling and a frequency, without sounding too lightworkery. It creates an energy within you that you know it's familiar to you, but you keep it with you, and it allows you to feel into other frequencies without. And I'm not talking really empathy here. It's something different. It gives you a sense of, the daily practice gives you a purpose in it, but it gives you a trajectory, and when you're on that trajectory, these things just don't stick. They may come in for a minute and you consider it, but then you can just let go of it and you just detach and you move on. Because if you've got a lot of this in your frequency, then there's no way that you can really be doing a proper practice. And if you think you are and you've got all of this stuff in there affecting you, it's not working. And you've got to figure out another way of doing it. And prayer is the way that you get to that real essence of who you are, and you discover the beauty of language. And when you discover the beauty of language and you listen to the way that these news broadcasters or the people that are speaking about it at work are talking, you can see it's almost the opposite of prayer.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now that we've talked to spiritual stuff and how to get out of the adrenaline, I'm going to go throw some big whole chunks of global narrative meat in front of you. What's going on in the UFO world? Dun, dun, dun! Okay. Recently, I think it was last week, a General Miley and a person from the Department of Defense said that there was an alien mothership that visited the Voyager probe that was outside of our solar system. Yes, a general in the Department of Defense and additional people admitted there's an alien mothership. Okay? And it's within 30 days of getting here. And then they shut it off and pretended like it never happened. Okay, so for all of you people waiting for the UFOs to come down and rescue you, they ain't going to rescue you, but they're definitely making themselves present. This now makes 7 times in 3 years our government has admitted aliens exist. 7 times in 3 years. And 3 times in the last 9 months. Why do you think they're doing that? Because that's part of the Polycrisis too. Because this is specific for the conspiracy consciousness expansion, want a better world community. That's targeting the Polycrisis on those people. The aliens are going to come help us.
Yeah. It's testing a certain group of people, or just a larger response, and that's why they're taking it off straight away, because they're getting the information that they need and then taking it off so it doesn't roll on and become something larger.
But all those communities are reporting it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then diving deep into the adrenaline of what it could be, what its potentials are, and gaming out the theory. Okay? We had UFO satellite balloons being shot down 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And now an alien mothership. And the director of national intelligence has been given an order in 90 days to give a report on all these UFOs, which lines it up to the end of June, right when they're going to be redoing the debt ceiling. Every June and every Christmas, they reorganize the debt ceiling here. And all these big stories are being pushed off till June. June is we're going to find out what the financial crisis is going to do to us. June is the aliens. June is the January 6th committee. The rest of the truth files coming out, all at a time where the debt ceiling crisis is being negotiated. And what do they do here every debt crisis? They pass an omnibus bill that fixes all of the problems of the year in one bill.
I'd say most of the UFO news is quite fear-based, isn't it? Like, even to the regular Joe or Frank down the road watching that, and they're in fear anyway, and all of a sudden they wake up to an article saying there's a mothership. They're not going to be like, oh shit, there's UFOs, I'm going to do my inner work now. They'll be like, oh shit, I'm scared.
You never, these UFO places, like a lot of it, you never hear the spiritual side of things. It's always just pointing facts. I don't really watch a lot of them, I have to say, because I learned that early on. There's so much missing from the narrative.
Right. Now let's delve a little deeper. Let's go. Everyone, put on your Galactic Historian cap. Okay. Okay. What's going on in Inner Earth now? Separate of our global polycrisis narrative.
They're having their own polycrisis narrative.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think's going on down there?
Lizard wars.
Well, spirit.
They're trying to go, why aren't my surface population doing what I tell them? Now, I have stated for a long time, this world is owned by psychopaths and run by idiots. The psychopaths downstairs are wondering why their idiots aren't smart enough to deal with this crisis. They rolled out and failed at the COVID thing. They failed miserably at all the different things they're trying to roll out. They want us to eat bugs. We're rejecting eating bugs. Okay, they're killing our own economic system. You know, why aren't those dumb humans doing what we tell them? They're in doubt of their surface apparatus. That's good for us. That's really good for us. Okay? Because the surface apparatus is too afraid of getting their ass killed for doing the wrong thing, so they're scapegoating everyone else.
And they're arguing down there.
Yes, and now they're arguing down there that they
time.
might actually get up off their high-heeled asses and do something.
Yeah.
So they're
What do you
being
think they might
fighting
do?
down there then?
Yes, they're fighting down there.
There's a lot going on. I can see it as he was talking about it. There's a lot of battles and a lot of arguing around tables.
Well, didn't you say that remember the explosion on near that shit? I can't remember where it was, but I remember you potentially saying it was something to do with Hollow Earth. And I predict maybe they'll do something on the surface, something negative, obviously, to try and cause us to go into that fear mode.
Like what?
A multi-dimensional bomb, like they've done before. Weapons, scalar weapons we're not familiar with, which we wouldn't even realise would be a weapon. Like
What would that look like? What would it look like to the normie muggle out there who doesn't have this wisdom of the Galactic Historian cap?
It would just look like the regular explosion, or the narrative obviously would cover the narrative how it needs to be in order to give you that bullshit sandwich.
So like the big explosion that went off in the Beirut port and took out three-quarters of the city?
Yes, that was the one. That was the one I was talking about.
Or the Tianjin explosion in Tianjin, China in 2015, where it took out three-quarters of the city of Tianjin, which was their home of their entire major internet ISP service providers and their master internet hackers, okay, as well as a major port. Yeah. Or the Ukraine bombing in 2015, where the MH316 plane went down, or any of the other major bomb situations that have gone off before, or the earthquake in Turkey. Okay.
Hang on a minute. The earthquake in Turkey. What was that? Hang on a minute, man. Let's pause right here. So, what you're trying to say in a way which you can't say it is that wasn't natural.
Correct.
Oh shit. Wow.
So put your lizard hat on for a minute. The global crisis and polycrisis consciousness isn't working for you, and you got to create a story that they're going to look at for a long time. What would you do? Laura, put your lizard hat on for a second. Okay?
So it's something that will put people into greater fear of survival.
Sure, but it can't wreck the economy permanently. It can kill a few 100,000 people. Easy. I mean, over 500,000 people died in the Turkey earthquake. You do realize that, right? Over 500,000 people died. And another 500,000 people are going to die of the disease afterwards.
So what happens to the lizards doing that, or the people behind doing that? What karma would that create for them? Like, clearly that's some...
That's lightworker stuff. Keep that out of this.
Oh, man. Do you imagine they're like...
We're not on that.
Annihilating millions of people.
Go back to lightworker.
I'm putting my lightworker cap on, Andrew.
Lizard hat on.
I'll put the lizard back on.
Laura, if you were a lizard and you needed to get a story that would stay in the news for at minimum a month, where every news station in the world's covering it for a month, what would you do?
A big outbreak of something. Well, we've had that, see, with oh, can I say COVID, or have I just got us?
You just did.
Demonetized.
You just did.
Yeah, but I figure Andrew demonetized us right at the beginning anyway.
Yeah. The atomic bomb went off already.
Well, yeah, atomic bomb, and that would do it, wouldn't it?
I imagine like I would maybe arrest a high level leader, because if they've got this problem, these people are not doing what they want them to do, then maybe do something to them.
Now you're thinking like a lizard. Now you're thinking like a lizard. Because that unites the tribes taking down this bad villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're thinking like a lizard. All right, I'll give you my 27 and a half cents in this. Okay? Volcano. Do you remember when the Iceland volcano went off and how big of a story that was worldwide? Okay? Where would a volcano go off that would affect a majority of air flights?
Italy, Sicily.
Italy? Oh, yes. Greece.
Stromboli or Mount Etna or somewhere like that. Mount Etna, sorry, that's a fucking big one.
It won't be a South American country because it's not going to affect major air travel. Iceland again, Canada, United States, Hawaii, Japan, Korea, parts of Russia, because, the cloud goes all the way around the world. Okay, if it's not going to be a volcano, an earthquake. Okay, that'll give us a double feature. Okay, what third world countries have all been abused by earthquakes? Pakistan.
Pakistan was recently.
Okay, northern India.
India.
Yeah.
Okay. Thailand. Japan. Not a third world country.
Not a third world country, but yeah.
Okay.
Japan was what came to mind when you first spoke about it.
Yeah. So those are the two major plays in the lizard playbook. Okay? But will the lizards play something they've done before? Remember, it's got to stay in the news. Because what's that going to do? It's going to force everybody that's on the surface narrative following the lizard's rule to buck up and stick to the plan instead of creating their own plans to impress the lizards. Okay? There's a fractioning, a fractioning and a breaking and a fracturing of the surface management system. Okay? And that's good for us. Okay? That's really good for us. Yeah, it sucks that we're going through all this stuff, but guess what? Okay? It stops them from accelerating their plans when things are breaking down and fracturing. Okay?
And I guess when their plans aren't working, the more desperate they get.
They pass the hot potato. That's what I'm seeing.
Right. And if they try to get a volcano to go off or a major earthquake in a major population center, the off-worlders will absolutely interfere. They will. And they will publicly stop it. And this is where I want to bring up all the UFO sightings and videos that are coming out of Ukraine right now. There is a major censoring of this videos, but there's enough stuff coming out direct from drone craft, direct from Russian craft, because the Russians are letting it hit their internet. all the UFOs that are going on there. And many of the Ukrainians with cell phone cameras are putting it up on the dark web too. You're getting hundreds of daily sightings, hundreds of situations where UFOs are stopping Russian planes from dropping bombs on the Ukrainian sites or stopping the Ukrainians from shooting down Russian aircraft. They're absolutely interfering in that war. And there's a complete news media shutdown on it. So the volcano and earthquake play is not going to really happen. But you're going to go, Andrew, what just happened in Turkey? Didn't you say that was intentional? Well, there are times that people are aware earthquakes are going to happen and do nothing about that. Is that intentional? Not warning the people? It's right.
Yeah.
They could have warned the people. They could have warned the people 10 years ahead of time, don't build your buildings, dumb. But they didn't. Okay, all of the central Mediterranean is earthquake and volcano prone. We've known this throughout history. Okay? Known this throughout history. So what can the lizards do knowing that the shit will be interfered with? Now I'm going to say, audience that's out there listening, go on into that chat room. You don't need to be a psychic to predict this stuff. Put on your lizard thinking cap for just a second. Co-create with us here. Because there is a bigger teaching of why we're doing a Polycrisis show 2 times in a row. Instead of going back to dragons, merfolk, spirituality, and all the other stuff that we can present about that we will bring back. But we're bringing it up here now so you all can be prepared for the rest of the year. Oh, wow, we don't have a very big chat room today. Even though there's almost 300 people listening. Where all of you are. Sitting at your desks. With your thumbs. Unable to do anything. Lizards are out there. Hello, lizards. Okay. Somebody's on their phone in their car. All right, guys. It seems it's a challenge to get them to respond. But what's the question? What would the lizards do to create another Polycrisis that would occupy the news narrative for a whole month, where the news has to report about it for the full month? Galactic Butterfly, hologram of the Indian gods and Shiva. You really think American
What about
news
something
of an Indian god showed up over Mumbai? No, they wouldn't. They'd cover that shit up.
What about something going missing? Something just disappearing out of reality?
All right, Greg, NATO restructuring. That's a good one. You're thinking like a lizard now. Completely restructuring NATO. Yeah. Even though that would never happen. You know, that's the most corrupt organization out there next to the UN. Okay? A plane crash. Ooh. Let's say some big pop star her plane crashes. Remember when Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash? How much that was on the news?
Yep. We're waiting for you to say some nugget now.
Okay, and suddenly showing up. Yeah, suddenly showing up and landing. Yeah. Vatican intervention. Okay, Gotham, you are right. Now you're thinking like a lizard. The Vatican intervenes in a Jewish war in Ukraine. What a great idea. Okay. Godzilla.
Yeah.
Throw it in the kitchen sink again.
Yeah.
That's from last show. Godzilla shows up. Okay? Yes, we've already had many train crashes. Trains are crashing all over the planet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. We're going to transition away from that part of the polycrisis to a different part of the polycrisis. But we're going to stick with the spirituality process going on here. Okay? The spiritual community, the UFO community, the consciousness community, the science expansion community, we're all into one big community. Same thing with self-help. Anybody that doesn't want the white picket fence global narrative, you are a faction that they have to give false information to make you break into different tribal groups. Okay? And people that listen to this show listen to many other shows, but they're trying to do the consciousness community, the spirituality community. They're trying to get us into a limited point of view. And they do this by passing laws like abortion or some of the other things that are similar to that take spirituality people out of doing their spirituality practice and have a cause to fight for. Okay? What are some of those causes that are going on out there, like abortion, that's just ruining the spirituality communities? Vaccinations?
Yeah, of course.
That's killing the spiritual community. Okay? What else?
Activists on animal rights.
Activists on animal rights. That's a perennial one that keeps around.
Climate change.
Climate change. Weather.
Oh, and then the rising of the divine feminine.
Oh, yeah. That's forever there.
Mm.
And no one ever talks about the divine masculine.
Mm.
Moo-hoo-ha-ha-ha. Why do you think I'm bringing this up now? They're getting ready to do a full-on rug pull on the spiritual community. They need us hurting in the next LGBTQ. There you go. They need us hurting and in pain before this omnibus bill comes up in the end of June. Because we're a rock salt. We provide an energy for everybody else out there that keeps hope alive. Okay? And if they can knock down our frequencies and knock us out of the game, they win. So, what's the next polycrisis coming to the spirituality community? Put on your lizard hat again and look at the spirituality community and what crisis or thing can they create there that's just going to separate the spirituality community from their power base.
I'd say like fear porn stories, kind of like the Nibiru situation. Just some things.
That's a good one.
Obvious.
They bring back Nibiru again. Okay? Keep going.
The children, another one, the standard,
Yep.
trying to bring the children back in again.
Mm-hmm. The missing children. Yep.
What about another ascension story?
Oh, yeah. Ascension symptoms.
Like, it's going to happen on this date, or somebody saying something's going to happen about this time.
Okay. David Wilcox comes out again and gives you a guarantee it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. They take down one of our icons. Okay.
And who we talk saying icon?
Well, they make them into a villain.
Make him into a villain, yeah. God forbid, but let's say somebody like David Icke is charged with criminal conspiracy, something that would be damaging to the whole community. And there are hundreds of targets beyond him that could do that. That could be that target. Okay?
I think it depends where you are as well, isn't it? It's like, obviously, I'm not trying to go back to Andrew Tate a lot, but the where he is and where he's situated, he's easily got, and they're easily able to just put him away.
Well, that's Romania. That's one of the most corrupt governments. It's a bribery-based country, and he just hasn't bribed them enough to get out of jail. That's why he's still in jail. And everyone in Romania, sorry, you all know the truth too. He's in there because he hasn't bribed them enough to get out.
What about aliens actually doing harm or causing destruction? Or
have they done it before?
Anal probing?
Mm-hmm. No, Laura, this is a serious question.
Yes. Yeah.
Have they done it before?
Yes.
What proof do we have?
Very little.
Whatever's in the UFO community is our proof.
Yeah.
But we don't need proof like a court of law proof. We just need the conjecture stories and the different stories that they've absolutely done harm to us. Okay?
So more people coming out with being taken off world and having stuff done to them.
Right. A bunch more people coming out and flooding the community with a bunch of new crazies to take over the community.
Yeah.
Like the honorable reptilian channelers now. Okay? Taking down of Marianne Williamson. That's a good one too. They won't take her down. She's got too much big of a support by the different communities.
Was she trying to go for presidency at some point, or?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she was trying to run at some point.
Yeah, or saying somebody in the industry, corruption within the industry.
Yeah. She is running again, according to Joel. And Joel just did a huge fart. Damn, Joel, that stinks.
The spiritual community is quite divided as well, though, isn't it? It's
yes.
It's going to be a very strange thing because it's not really a unity as it is.
It was never organized to begin with. It's been a bunch of fractured little groups that have groups that people that travel between all the different groups and try to get them to come together, but they never come together because they're always fighting each other, always judging each other.
Yep.
What about a return of the empath or something like that? Something which is de-evolving spiritual community, some ideology.
Well, that's never really gone away. That's never really gone away.
A bit like gurus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shane, this is a good. How do we know who is turned over new leaf and who is taking advantage of the forgiveness system as camouflage? Great statement. You do that by your personal discernment. And what they want to do is take your personal discernment out and you rely on the discernment of others. You do it by personal discernment and don't rely on the discernment of others. That's why I'm doing this Polycrisis show like this, for you to put your lizard cap on for a minute, for you to see the potentialities are there. Okay, last week we did a show, and within a day, shit that we had called came true. And I said you didn't need to be psychic to be it. Okay?
If the lizards increase like something like whale hunting or something that people get really
great. Suddenly the Japanese are hunting whales again and murdering the whales. Okay? Kill off a major musician. That's right.
Create more so-called chemtrails because people get very activist about that, don't they?
Bring back 5G. 6G is coming now.
Yes.
Okay? What are you going to do when 24G comes out? Now, what are you going to do when 24G comes out?
24G.
Karens and Kens on overload. Yes, they activate all the Karen and Ken bots.
Mhm.
Now I've stretched everyone's mind. Stretched it as far as it could be. Now let's stretch it some more. Whose brain is stretched out there? Hey, Joel, it looks like our chat here in the main room isn't linked anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
Because I can't see the chat room popping up. Yeah, we know you made a mistake again, Joel. That's it. Reverse Merkaba mechanics. No. Reverse Merkaba mechanics means nothing happens. 666G. Thanks. All right. I'm intending by intention, yes, intending by intention to stretch your brains even more. So take off your lizard cap, okay? And put off your Galactic Federation of Light. Put on your Galactic Federation of Light cap.
Mm-hmm.
You have a world embroiled in this polycrisis, keeping adrenaline human beings going. You really can't interfere unless they do something really big and really stupid. What do?
We begin to offer assistance to the people that we can.
How?
Through dreams, through the other ways that they connect to us.
Okay.
You appear more and more and more.
Keep going.
Maybe a few more shows in the sky to try and ramp it up a little bit.
Or just mess with them beyond belief. Just do whatever it is that you can to just stop them in their tracks, or just to make them look foolish.
In the past, things that they've done was the nuclear missile silos spread around all the world. They simultaneously deactivated all the missiles and the nuclear missiles in the world.
Yeah.
They've done it before, and they can do it again.
Yeah.
Okay?
I love that shit.
Now, that story never made it to the public news. It was only later did that seep out in history. Okay?
Something that's irrefutable that everyone can see.
A peaceful act.
That's major interference. They can't do major interference. It has to really affect the lizards and the lizard management group on the surface. They can't be seen as rescuers. That's against their protocol.
Their backs are up as well because of the recent, shipments getting off planet.
Mm-hmm.
There's
So
so
all
many
the
things
people out there in the chat room, put your Galactic Federation of Light hat on. What do? Knowing you can't fully interfere, it has to be in the shadows.
You could do good, clean something, correct something that could come into the narrative as a positive news.
Like what? I'm stretching your brain on purpose.
Any form of like pollution or anything like that. Anything like that.
Yeah.
Areas in the world like recovering really well.
Keep going.
Say from coral reefs or anything, that's an example to recovering and flourishing. Natural way flourishing even more and making it more globally known in a way.
Bankrupt them. Okay, that's from Claire.
Yeah.
Discovery of a mystical creature. Well, the Mexican president already said elves exist 2 weeks ago. Yes, the actual Mexican president said elves are real, and here's a picture of them. I know that's hard for you to believe, but if you're a regular listener, you've heard me say this already, you can go ahead and Google it. Weather manipulation that counters the current weather manipulation. That's another good one. From Paulo. Have we stretched your brain enough? Go ahead, Laura.
Are they allowed to divert disasters like volcanoes?
Sure. But there are some disasters that are baked into the plan that have to happen. But they can limit the amount of people that are hurt by the disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Can they directly interact with Hollow Earth, within Earth?
Oh, yeah, they're negotiating with them all the time. Doesn't mean anything's getting done. There are many plans on the table that could end this whole situation within hours. Okay? But as I've said since day one, there's still going to be a group of people you got to tear the power out of their cold dead hands. They're not going to give up. The zealots and the martyrs. Okay?
Is there anything that they could do that's not on Earth that would have a big effect?
Oh, sure.
Because it can't just all be hiding on Earth and everyone surrounding the Earth saying, come out, come out.
What could they do in another world that would affect here?
They're going to have to hit the black projects.
Yeah, they are hitting them left and right.
I bet.
They'd have to go deep into their own communities that have criminal organizations that are enabling the DNA trade. Okay? And then expose it for what it is. Yes, that would be major hit to their own cultures. Okay, but yes, that could absolutely happen.
Are they allowed to bring cures for anything?
No, not unless it exists in the current science. So what's harder, the lizard cap or the GFL, Galactic Federation of Light hat?
I'd probably say the Galactic Federation hat.
Okay. Let's
Yes,
explore that for a little bit.
Because
Let's say you've been a GFL guy that's been in orbit for about 700 years, and you've got another, you can't really leave until this shit is fixed. Okay? And you live around 6,000 years. Okay? And you came here and you're 2,000 years old. Yeah, you're now 2,700 years old. Okay? You just spent nearly 15% of your life force occupied in this space.
I'd be thinking, do you know what? Let's break the rules.
Exactly.
Let's just
Break
get the job done.
But they know if they break the rules, they'll have to repeat this again. They'll have to repeat all of this.
So they have to tread carefully.
Very carefully.
Very carefully, yeah.
That's the difficulty level they're presented with. That's why opening up to spirituality is so important now. Okay? Because it gives windows of opportunities for them to send inspiration and creation to you to help fund your journey on a better and greater awareness so you can discern the truths and falsities of this reality.
So
Okay.
it's a good time for galactic communication.
Well, you got to have the fundamentals and the basics done first before you try that stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of people watch YouTube and think they can instantly communicate with those groups. You can't. Okay? Your chances of being hijacked by your own programs or external sources are way too high. Make them cry foul or red card. You're calling red cards all the time, but no one's getting ejected from the game.
Could they work on the ground and manipulate some forms of social uprising or technology or something? As if just mingle in with the populations and do some good.
They do that, but they do it in a very camouflaged and secret way.
That's the thing, it seems like they're really just stuck to doing it on a local level. Individuals.
Yes, because it's always been an individual awakening. And the Polycrisis tries to link us right again to the false collective consciousness. That's what this Polycrisis does. Links you into the false collective consciousness. Hear those words, process those words, and make them part of your deep inner philosophy. The Polycrisis is the false collective consciousness.
And that's what it goes back down to, doesn't it? So service to self-ascension. That everyone has to do it.
On their own.
They can't do it for us.
That's the saddest part for me when I see the general populations is the fact that the global narrative is their unity. It is
What ties everyone together.
Yeah.
Can they come as a hero but without giving away that they're galactic?
No.
Would they just get assassinated straight away if they did that?
No. They already know that if they take up a major role in this world and haven't been living in this world as a human surface incarnating being, they will change the nature of the chocolate souffle that's been baking for a while. And
That's the question I was.
Yeah, if you take the chocolate souffle, yes, it compacts.
So all they can do is clean up the kitchen a little bit.
Correct.
All they can do is the oven works.
Yep. Stock the shelves in the background.
Supply the oven gloves.
Yeah, wipe off the oven glass. That's about it. All right, now let's take off our Galactic Federation of Light hat and come back to being just you, the individual you. Put on your own individual hat right now. What can you do to disconnect from the false collective consciousness for yourself in your own space? Maty, what can you do?
Source connection. Source connection and focusing on yourself. So instead of looking for crises outside, you can look for crises inside if you must. And I'm sure you'll find some. You can address those. But it's source connection, because the more that one develops yourself, the more communication you have. Things like we've been talking about, things like off-worlders and so forth, they come to you in a very different way. It's not the same as communicating with a human. But these are the bits that come along the side when you do that self-mastery. So for me, it's source connection, the sacred connections, the fetus and the heart, all the stuff that Andrew's been teaching for many years. Just some of that stuff. And we say basic, but it's not basic. It's basic advanced, and that just that's the core of it really for me. Source connection, because it just separates me from the narrative as a whole, and it allows me to have my own bubble of reality that allows me to intermingle with the other parts of what's going on here, not just this narrative that's been presented and that everyone believes in.
Okay, Laura, what about for you?
To keep working on aligning myself with natural organic evolution, which is working with the earth, feeling the heartbeat of earth, all the work that we've we've discussed on these shows that bring you in line with working with the Earth's natural hologram, with the Earth light hologram and not the false light hologram. So all those practices that we've discussed, whether it's daily prayer practice, revocations, the prayers is a big one, to keep that connection, source connection, as Maty said, but that Earth Mother connection.
Wonderful. Dale, what about for you?
Allowing yourself to be the child within your life and allowing that sign of Southern Shield, innocent energy to be part of your daily life where you're having fun, you're not being so fucking serious all the time. Life's not muggy and gluggy. You're actually having authentic smile, authentic laugh. You're enjoying the smallest things for what it is, and you're not always looking to instant gratification all the time, or Facebook or YouTube for your validation, where you're able to go out and just do daily things and enjoy life, but in a sacred way, and a ceremonial way as well. So I'd say having fun and stop being the spiritual Karen, and judging people and stuff like that, and just trying to let go of shit more. Just trying to be more of a human and how we're meant to be instead of how they're perceiving us to be. So I'd say being the child, reminding yourself that we're all children and we have to allow that inner child to come out of us and play and express ourselves. Like when I'm with the kids, I always have to tell myself, look, be a child now. Mm-hmm. You got to play with them. And sometimes I forget that. And when I do go into that playful energy, it reminds me of why I'm here and how beautiful this life can be.
And another thing as well, I was thinking it ties into what you're just saying there is communication. So one of the ways that we can get dragged into this, especially if you have a job in Muggle world and have to interact, or you know, friends and family are not spiritually inclined, or even worse, conspiracy theorists, then you've got to learn how to have a dialogue, how to speak, if you have an opinion about something, you don't actually have to express it. Sometimes when you're hearing a discussion amongst 3 or 4 people, and as much as we like to be social creatures, sometimes you're just entering into a soup that's just going to bring you down or add that frequency to you, even if you're doing it for a good reason. So sometimes you have to get involved in a conversation, but you've got to already have a way to not be in competition with that person's perspective or their point of view, and then make your leave as quick as you can. So that's one thing that I've had to learn, is how to interact with people who are embroiled in this without adding any charge to it, for myself and for them.
Well said, Alden. Well said, Alden.
He's back.
All right. Now we've had a variety of hats on. Okay? We've done a whole bunch of explaining the Polycrisis. What's going on in the Silicon Valley consciousness heist that's going on. Because right now they are trying to hijack and heist your consciousness, your belief, your awareness. So that you're focusing on the Polycrisis and forcing you to be a part of the false collective consciousness. Okay? With that being said, we must talk about one final thing: hope. For a number of years now, I've helped coin a phrase called hopium, to stop sucking the hopium pipe. The global narrative and the false consciousness, collective consciousness group wants people living off of hopium, wants the hopium pipe into your deep throating it. Okay? What kind of hopium is out there right now? What are the different flavor of the week hopium energies that are getting people to believe in the fake hope and keeping them away from doing spiritual practices?
Well, the aliens are coming to save us.
Okay? The apocalypse is coming. There are people that are hoping for it. The doom and gloomers. They're hoping for the apocalypse. Dale, what kind of hopium have you seen out there?
I'd say them always trying to say the government again is going to save us, and the government will come out of this eventually, and the doom and gloom is here, and eventually we will come out of it. There's always that kind of like hope that something's going to happen in the news, or something's going to come to a conclusion where it's going to get resolved, but realistically no remedy or resolve ever gets resolved in it. So it's always just giving you that spew of kind of like a little bit of string, and you're chasing this string, and it's just constant hopium. And people like to put it into a cigarette, roll it up, and puff on it.
Well, King
Med
Charles
beds.
being crowned.
Yeah, med beds. That's a great fucking hopium pipe to deep throat. Okay, they're trying to force med beds are coming. Med beds are coming. No, they're not. Yeah. What else? What's along the lines of med beds? Free energy. That's another hopium project. What else?
Trump's going to save everyone if he comes back.
Another really good one. Trust the science. Thank you, Santo. Really go deep into your lightworker repertoire and see the hopium that's been around before. And what hopium hasn't come around in a while? What hopium are they going to pull out of their bag of tricks?
Nasara.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, everyone's going to get $10 million.
Yeah. That was inspired.
The Corporation of the United States is bankrupt. That's another hopium one.
Bill Gates will get arrested.
Yeah, that's another one. Same with Hillary. Hopium.
We're going to go crystalline and ascend.
Go full lightworker for a minute.
I thought that was.
These new codes are coming in, and these new codes are going to blow 555 up our asses, and we're going to ascend into rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. Shit like that. Go on. Join us on the 222 of activation, and we're going to ascend on this day into the blah 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 blah.
It's what in the UK we call waffle.
Yeah, and all the ascended masters are going to come and walk the earth.
Mm-hmm. Archangel Asshole's going to come down and smite all the lizards. Okay?
And put off all their clone masks.
Solar Flash will switch us to 5D. Yes. Debt forgiveness. Debt relief.
I haven't been involved in these communities for such a long time. I haven't read or been onto any of the. Just a common point where it was just Andrew, and that was the only person I'd listen to because it's the only place that was the proper truth. I wonder if any of the old websites are still open. Let's have a look.
What about Fox News, Maty?
I'm terrible. I'm completely disconnected. It's making me feel bad. I'm sitting listening to these questions and I've got nothing.
Yes, Diamond Light Codes. That's another great one.
Yeah, I still hear that. I've heard that on TikTok.
Civil War. A lot of people hoping for Civil War.
Yeah, in this country, they think that there's going to be a internal war, and that's what the immigrants are about. They want to build an army within, and there are lots of different factions, different religions, or even cultures in this country that all have their own perspective on it.
Oh, arrests. There'll be loads of arrests.
Oh, yeah, arrests.
That was always a big one, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Tribunals, war crime tribunals.
And paedophilia ring broken and the celebs arrested.
That's all hopium.
Can I read a piece out? This is just something I've just come across now. Okay. So 5D Earth is a shift in dimension and consciousness characterized by love, unity, and higher awareness. Humanity is currently in the process of transitioning from 3D Earth, which is based on separation and duality, to 5D, which is based on unity and oneness. This transition is a spiritual and energetic one. what you should expect. Number one, increased awareness and intuition. You may notice an increase in your awareness and intuition as you transition into 5D Earth. You'll become more sensitive to the energy around you and more aware of your own thoughts and emotions. It's like reading to a toddler, isn't it?
Yes.
Number two, emotional healing and release. Number three, synchronicities and signs. It's just as bad as the old women's magazines back in the day that just talked waffle. Connection to nature and spirituality. It's just obvious things. There's nothing deep or transformative in any
All
of it.
light worker salad, salad
it's
stuff.
just made up.
Made up garbage. With that said, guys, we're going to call it an end to this Polycrisis show. We've done 2 Polycrisis shows in a row. We probably won't do another one until the next major Polycrisis. Okay? But we wanted to do 2 back-to-back in a row to help get people ready for the many Polycrises that are coming. We have many shows that are coming up that go back to the spirituality topics, back to the self-mastery topics. We encourage you to go back to our archive and listen to the many shows that have tools, tips, and techniques for you to begin your practice or to expand your practice. So, Maty, give a way for people to get a hold of you.
Okay, so if you're in part of the Facebook community, I'm on Facebook, Maty Waller. Other than that, you can get me on twofeathersmedicine.com.
Laura, a way for people to get a hold of you.
twofeathersmedicine.com, along with Maty and Dale, and we have lots of different ways we can help you on your self-mastery journey. So look us up.
Dale, for you.
You can find me on twofeathersmedicine.com, and it'll take you to daletobin.com, and there I offer psychic surgery and soul retrieval sessions. I also do psychic surgery training, and I also now offer past life regression training as well. So if you ever want to learn past life regression, how to regress people in a professional and I'd say safe way, go on to daletobin.com, have a look. Also as well, Scotland, we have 2 weeks left until the closing doors of Scotland. So if you're interested in joining Scotland on the 1st of July for 10-day bus tour of What's My Purpose bus tour with the great Andrew Bartzis, Maty and Laura, we've got 2 weeks left and the gates will be closed for that. So if you want to book, go on to andrewbartzis.com and book. It's going to be exceptional. We've got a few people who've just booked on, and it's going to be fucking ace. Thank you, guys.
And there's a limited number of seats left. You all know who I am. You can go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. We have a bunch of new products out that I've done with Two Feathers Medicine and everybody in the crew here. We encourage you to go give a look at them and take a look at some of the other stuff that we've created. They're all there to help you disconnect from the false collective consciousness and to recover your own spirit and begin your journey to living the mystical life daily. All right, Joel, take us away.
Mm-hmm.
Healing comes in many forms, all the colors aligned. You are free as a dove when you choose, a sovereign state of being.
And allow this product to work with the 7 color chakras in our own energy system.
Meditations can trigger DNA wisdom and memories in light, out-creating our limited chemical memories. So sit back, relax, as we take you on a journey of light and colour.
Welcome, everyone, to the Scottish Highlands Galactic Historian What's Your Purpose tour. You're asking, what's my purpose? Your purpose is to go on this tour and discover the mystical, magical highlands and lowlands of Scotland. We'll be going from Edinburgh to Kirkwall, Inverness, all over the Scottish lands, as you can see on our incredible map. So I want to bring in Dale to talk about what is going to be included with this trip.
So what's included on this What's My Purpose tour, we'll get a chance to meet Andrew Bartzis, and we'll be able to ask him what our own purposes are, and we'll be able to ponder and try and figure this out in 10 days.
And each and every day, we will be driving and I will be talking about the histories of the places that we are passing and going to. And a part of these attractions are what we're including in this tour to make it the most memorable tour I've ever been on. Dale, what are the attractions and everything that's included?
A Scottish driver and also a guide. You'll have your own very luxurious Mercedes-Benz coach as well. It'll include all transport and ferries, 9 nights accommodation and 9 breakfasts and also dinner included as well. So for the attractions you'll get free entry to Dunrobin Castle and Gardens. You'll also be tasting the fine whiskey at the Highland Whiskey Distillery tasting, where you'll be able to see the spirits being made and created. And we'll be also getting entry to Scarabray, the Garrigan Blackhouses Village, Callanish Standing Stones, which are so famous throughout the world. And we'll be also going entry to the Armdale Castle and Gardens, where we get the chance just to relax and walk around and just enjoy the scenery and the outside and the history. Also, we'll be going on a half-boat day trip to Stafford, and we'll be also going to entry to Iron Abbey.
This is your opportunity to take the pilgrimage with all of us to the Scottish Highlands, the 10-day bus tour around the Scottish Highlands. On the first day of the journey, of this 10-day journey,